Welcome to the Business Examiner. We have an informative show for you tonight. First, I talked to Mr. Rick Pinca, the Executive Director of the Flour Millers Association of the Philippines. He tells us why his industry is now under siege. I also talked to Tony Fernandez, the founder and Chief Executive Officer of AirAsia, the region's largest low-cost airline. Mr. Fernandez shares his vision on Asian aviation and also the many corporate social responsibilities of his airline. So stay tuned. It's going to be one exciting evening here only on the Business Examiner. Quietly and below everyone's radar, Turkey has been dumping massive amounts of flour in the Philippines in blatant violation of fair trade laws. So serious is the situation that it threatens the very survival of our entire flour milling industry and of course the thousands of jobs that come along with it. I am joined today by Mr. Rick Pinca, the Executive Director of the Philippine Association of Flour Millers. Hello Mr. Pinca and welcome to the Business Examiner. For the benefit of our viewers, what in World Trade laws constitute dumping?
The World Trade Organization defines dumping as the export of products at prices lower than the domestic prices of these products at the exporting countries.
Okay,
So
okay.
we are saying
right.
that Turkey is dumping flour in the Philippines because the price of flour in Turkey is much higher than their export prices to the Philippines. For example, the cost of flour in 2010 in Turkey
Right.
was $600 per metric ton.
Okay.
But at that time, they were exporting to Manila at only $367 per metric ton.
Right.
Much lower.
Well, the regular consumer or the manufacturers will contend that if Turkey is able to sell their flour at a much cheaper cost, could it be a question of efficiency on the part of our local millers? In other words, shouldn't you be stepping up in terms of manufacturing efficiencies to lower your price?
You see, Philippine flour millers are one of the most efficient flour millers in the world. And we
Right.
have to, because we import the most expensive wheat in the world from the United States.
Right.
Because the local bakery industry requires that kind of
Quality.
quality
So are you
wheat.
saying there's a difference between the quality of Turkish flour and those that emanate from the Philippines?
There is some differences, although they can be similar products in the sense that Turkish flour can also be used to produce
Right,
Philippine
right.
bread,
Yes.
and vice versa. Now, would Turkish flour produce a bread that is similar in eating quality and
Right,
volume
right.
and size to Philippine flour?
Philippine-made flour?
No.
So there is a detectable difference
There
in
is
quality.
a detectable difference in quality.
Right. Now, how is Turkey able to sell or to export their flour at a much cheaper price than how much it is in Istanbul?
In the case of flour, they're doing a good job of it because of the subsidies
Right.
that the government is giving the local flour milling industry.
Okay. Is there anything wrong with government subsidies?
As far as subsidies, if it is given to local industries for local consumption, there is nothing wrong with it.
Right.
No?
Right.
But if subsidies are given to give and enable their
An undue
industries,
advantage. Right.
give them undue advantage in the export of
Yes.
their products to another country, that is not allowed.
Right. Not allowed according to World
According
Trade
to
rules.
World Trade
Yes.
Organization.
And just to be very clear about it, the Philippines is a signatory to the World Trade Organization.
Yes, just
And
as Turkey is.
are we net exporters of flour?
We export some amount of flour. We are
Okay.
able to export to Thailand. We are able to export some to Indonesia. And in the coming ASEAN integration,
Right.
we do intend to compete with the rest of the ASEAN countries in the flour industry.
So we are there.
We are there.
How big is the Philippine flour industry, and how much of it now is cornered by Turkish flour?
The Philippines imports 2 million metric tons of wheat annually.
Right.
When we mill it to produce flour, it turns out to be 1.5 million metric tons of flour.
Which is the domestic consumption.
The domestic consumption.
All right.
The domestic production. Now,
production?
how much is coming in from Turkish flour, from the Turkish
Right.
side? Well, in 2012, 177,000
Out of
metric
1.5.
tons, out of 1.5 million.
Right,
coming,
right.
So in
Yeah.
excess of 10% already.
Yes, that's
And
about
they continue
12%.
to increase.
Rick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right at 12 to 13%.
And can you tell me what has the effect been to our flour millers? The 12% market share that's been taken away from their volume, essentially.
Yes.
How has it affected the capacities of our plants? How has it affected employment? How has it affected outputs? I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. They have taken 12% of the market.
Right.
That in effect takes 12% of the market away from us.
Yes.
Unfairly,
Yes.
I should say, because of the subsidies that they are taking. In terms of production, we've not been able to increase production
Because
they are taking in whatever growth there is.
on the other
in
hand, demand
industry.
is not growing.
Yeah.
Demand is almost static.
There is quite a demand growth,
Right,
about
right.
5 to 6%. But they have taken about 5% of the growth. So what we are
Right.
left is 1%.
Have you brought this up with either the Department of Agriculture or Department of Finance?
We have, and it took us over a year to get them to make some action and to act on our petition. Last April 22, the government, after nearly a year of
review.
reviewing our petition, said they found proof that Turkey is indeed dumping flour.
Okay,
to the
so
Philippines.
that is an opinion. Was it an opinion or an order?
It is a decision, and an order was made
An order was made as a result of.
as a result of
Okay,
that
okay.
finding.
Yeah.
So the Department of Agriculture imposed a dumping duty
Okay.
on Turkish flour,
Yes.
ranging from 2.6% to 39.26%.
So does this satisfy your need now to equal the playing field?
It does in a way, yes.
Right.
Although it's a very complex way of doing it.
Yes.
Because when you have so much range
Right.
in tariff duties, you know how it is in the Bureau of Customs, and what the importers will do is say, hey, could you please apply the 2% on my import instead of the 39%?
Because I know that according to customs laws, duties are assigned on a per product category basis.
yes.
So how can you have a range of 2 to 21% on one category? What is the basis?
Because the Department of Agriculture found out that not all Turkish millers are dumping at the same price levels to the Philippines. Some
Okay.
are dumping 25%.
Well, that
of the
complicates
value.
matters.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's a
that
very
compli-
complicated system that
Right.
have now been.
But at the end of the
put in
day,
place.
does this tariff scheme, the 2 to 21%, does it improve the position of Philippine millers?
It does.
It does.
in a way. Yes. We
Okay.
just have to be more vigilant in monitoring the prices of imported flour from Turkey as they come in.
All right,
We just have
all
to
right.
be more
I
vigilant.
have another question, Rick. Has Turkey singled out the Philippines as the only country in which to dump flour, or has this been done, or is this being done in any other nation?
It is being done all over the ASEAN. In fact,
Also, ASEAN in
all
particular.
over the ASEAN.
Okay.
In particular,
Right.
because the growth of business in the whole world is in the ASEAN, in the Southeast Asian sector.
Right.
That's why they are targeting the ASEAN. In Indonesia, they had taken 25% of the market. So much so that the government of Indonesia in 2012 imposed a safeguard duty of 20% on Turkish flour.
And this is across the board. It
This is across the board.
Not a stratified.
Not stratified as we did it here.
And do you think this is the correct approach that government should take?
It does have its own plus and minus
Right, right.
factors. Like in the case of safeguard duties are by nature temporary.
Yes.
It should only last for maybe 6 months, and then it goes back to the same duty. Why? Because the safeguard duty states that the local country, the local industry is not yet ready to compete with a foreign entity.
Yes, but that's a temporary,
That
as
is
you
why
mentioned. Yeah.
that is why some leeway
Right.
has to be given to the local industry.
Yes.
But that leeway has to have a timetable. That's
Yes.
why normally it's about 6
Yes.
months. In the case of dumping, what we are saying is the government of the exporting country is in effect cheating because it is providing subsidy and providing undue advantage to their industry over the country receiving the product.
Exactly.
And therefore, the dumping should be permanent.
I'm glad that in the first place the Department of Agriculture has acted on it. Did they give you a time frame for the 2 to 21% levy?
Now, at the moment, that duty imposed by the Department of Agriculture is provisional in nature.
Okay.
It would last for 4 months. However, during that
Expiring on?
it's expiring in a 4-month period. It was imposed in April to May, June,
So,
July.
end of July.
August. Yeah, end of
End of
July.
July.
However, during those 4 months, the Philippine Tariff Commission is required to review again the case and determine whether or not the duty, the dumping duty would be made permanent, it would be revised, or it would be taken off altogether. Because the Tariff Commission is the agency tasked by the government to make a final determination
Right.
of the dumping
Yes.
case.
And this will be a more permanent
Yes.
policy.
Yes.
Okay. How much tariff do you think is equitable, if only to equalize the playing field?
By principle, the dumping tariff should be equal to the
Amount of subsidy.
amount of subsidy
Yeah.
being given to them, or the amount of discount
Yeah.
to their domestic price that's
All
being
right.
given.
All right. In which case, have you
Over our
determined?
review, we're
Yeah.
looking at around 36.
About
35,
36%.
yeah, 36 to 30.
So even the 21% awarded by the
Yeah.
Department of Agriculture fails to equalize
Yes.
the playing field. Now, let me ask you, 2 years, 3 years from now, if this issue goes on unabated, what would be the effect on the local flour milling industry?
We're seeing that if their growth of about 80% in 2012 continues,
You mean you said that they have a 12% market share.
Yes.
You're saying that they actually had about 8%, 7% in
Previously.
2011?
yeah, that
The growth is
the
exponential
growth
then.
is really exponential.
Okay.
And we are saying that if it grows that way again, continuously, by 2017, they would have 76% share of the market. And the other exporters to the Philippines, like Indonesia, Thailand, Australia, would have about 17% share of the market.
Which is not enough to sustain
Which,
the entire
and what we
industry.
will have would be very little share, which is not enough to sustain the industry.
Right. And how many jobs are we talking about
We're
here?
talking about 10,000 jobs.
About 10,000 jobs are at stake.
This is not just an industry issue, and we call on everyone to look at the issue of the flour industry as a national issue. Because while initially you may find that Turkish flour is cheaper than local flour, in the long run, the moment they have taken over the flour industry and they dominate the food sector, it is but natural and they will raise the price of Turkish flour in the country. And by then we would not be able to do anything because there is no local industry to protect us. Turkey is not a dependable supplier of flour because it gets its wheat and other raw materials from countries such as Russia, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine. And these are countries that the moment there is a crisis situation or there is a threat of a flood or a drought and their harvest is so little, they would embargo all their export commitments and no longer supply the export market. This would leave us in great danger. We need a local flour industry. We need your support. We need your help in curtailing this and stopping Turkey from dumping flour in the Philippines. If I may say so, we are not against free trade. In fact, other countries export flour to the Philippines and we are not complaining about them. There is Indonesia, there is Thailand, there is Vietnam. They export to the Philippines at prices almost just as equal to their domestic prices. They may be 50 pesos lower than our domestic prices, but that's fine with us because we can compete with them in terms of quality, in terms of the freshness of our product, in terms of the technical service that we give our customers. They offer free trade, they offer fair trade, but Turkey does not.
So thank you again,
Thank you very
Rick.
much,
Thank you for
Andrew.
joining us today. Friends, watch out for the next feature. We'll be right back. A friend pointed out to me that dumping is beneficial to the consumer and that our own industry must step up to match their low prices. This would be okay if the Turks were playing by the rules, but the fact is they are not. In this case, the Turks are in clear violation of World Trade Organization rules, which prohibit subsidies that result to an undue advantage. It's not just about cheaper goods for the short term. What we should really worry about is the survival of our local flour industry and the thousands of jobs that come along with it. The fact that the Department of Agriculture has acted on the matter by issuing an order that recognizes that indeed commodity dumping is being done and as a result impose an import tariff of anywhere between 2 to 36% is a step towards the right direction. But while this could be viewed as a victory, it fails to save our industry, our flour millers, from trouble in two fronts. First, the tariff falls short of what is truly required by the industry to level the playing field. 36 is the minimum tariff required to make our flour millers survive. Second, the order is only good for a period of 4 months. After this, the matter must be heard in the Tariff Commission, for which a final decision will be handed down. The public must be aware that we have another industry in serious threat of being obliterated due to one-sided trade tactics. We simply cannot afford to lose this industry, especially since it has bearing on our food security. This is why I urge the Commission on Tariffs to act swiftly to protect our own against this injustice. Again, don't get me wrong, I am all for cheaper flour. After all, it benefits both our food manufacturers and consumers. However, I draw the line when the reason for its cheap cost is owed to unfair trade practices and when it comes at the expense of an industry we all depend upon. In which case, I stand up to protect what is ours, as should every Filipino. That's all the time we have for today. I hope you found our show as entertaining as it was informative. Join me again next week as I talk about the issues that affect us all with the country's movers and shakers. Meanwhile, you can follow me for more business updates throughout the week through my Twitter account at AJ_Masigan. Or you can add me on Facebook. Just search for Andrew J. Masigan. If you'd like to send me an email, do so at Andrew_RS6@yahoo.com. Here's wishing you a productive week ahead. Good evening.